So let's get this shit started, huh? Let's learn together.
So your platform...
This is Tim Pool. Is it just me, or does he look like a mix of Jesse from Breaking Bad and the H3H3 guy? Does he not look like a union of these two people? Like they were Cronenberg together, or they were put in a teleportation vat and they got mixed up physically when they... I don't know. Okay.
Restricts speech.
Our platform promotes speech unless people violate our rules.
And in a specific direction.
In any direction.
But Uncle, I don't want to say his name, the guy who calls for death gets a suspension, the guy who insinuates death gets a permanent ban.
But Tim, you're misinterpreting what I'm saying, and I feel like you're doing it deliberately. It's not about one particular thing. It's about a pattern and practice of violating our rules.
And you have a pattern and practice of banning only one faction of people.
I don't agree with that.
Recently published an article where they looked at 22 high-profile bannings from 2015 and found 21 of them were only on one side of the cultural debate.
But I don't look at the political spectrum of people when I'm looking at their tweets.
Right, you...
Okay. I want to step up to this because this is very interesting to me. The accusation that conservatives or reactionaries are being targeted unfairly when it comes to being banned by Twitter or what have you. I'm just gonna wager a guess here. I feel like right-leaning people might violate the terms of service more often. As we know, there is a pretty strong corresponding element between fascism and stupidity. It seems more likely to me that these people just don't know how to disguise their violent rhetoric in ways that don't violate the Twitter TOS. See, I engage in violent rhetoric in a video game. But your average fucking degen reactionary on Twitter, I've seen the most vile shit being thrown around. Blatantly racist, blatantly sexist, nationalistic, xenophobic, transphobic, calling for people's heads to be cut off, telling for people to be raped, telling for people to be beheaded and mounted on a spike. This is pretty common reactionary rhetoric. You're not going to see it from like the big name figures, your Ben Shappies and what have you. But if you go on Twitter and express a left-leaning viewpoint for a long enough period of time, eventually one of those cumsprouts is going to say something to you that violates the Twitter TOS. I see this much less frequently from left-leaning people, though we have our moments. Usually those moments are calls to revolution. My goodness. Ellie Ali, thank you so much for subscribing. I really appreciate it, friend. Welcome to the collective. Should I say that? Is that going to be my thing? Like, welcome, like to the Supper Clubber, but it's going to be to the collective? Does that sound kind of cultish? I just mean collective, like we live in a big house together, and we're all friends. You know, we're all friends, and we all live in a big house together. And some of us can cook. We can have the nice food every day, friends. And Vosh is Vicky. That's an option. Welcome to the Syndicate. That sounds pretty cool. That sounds like a fucking video game faction in an open world post-apocalyptic RPG, you know? Like you get knocked out in a story segment and you get you awake on like a bare steel bed frame in an underground bunker, and you look around bleary and a woman walks in and she's wearing like a fucking trench coat and shades, and she says, "Hey, take it easy. Welcome to the Syndicate." I mean, it's pretty fucking rad. All right. Okay. Let's get this shit on the road. Anyway, the point I'm getting at here is, though I personally am fine with a bias against conservatives, in every respect conceivable, I don't think it is being demonstrated by Twitter, because I personally have seen so many more examples of reactionaries breaking TOS than I have leftists. This one picture is all you need to know about Tim Pool. All right, let's get a little character profile. This is me. This isn't what I'm trying to look at. Amazing. Incredible. Yeah, I mean, that'll about do it, right? Can we get a roll call? I don't recognize all of these degenerates. Roll call? Okay, we got Baked Alaska in here. I don't fucking know. Anyway, yeah, I mean, there you go. It reminds me of a Twitter post I saw the other day of a woman being like, Bernie Sanders. No, what was it? Oh, yeah. Ilhan Omar doesn't understand why her comments made us Jews uncomfortable. You know, the reason why we're uncomfortable isn't because we were paid off by Israel, you know. And then somebody in the comments posted a picture of her taking a selfie with Richard Spencer. Fucking gun them all down. In GTA 5 Online, obviously. Get them into a big group in GTA 5 and put the infinite ammo cheat on. All right.
You have a bias.
I don't know who they are.
You're biased, and you're targeting specific individuals because your rules support this perspective.
No. I don't agree with that.
Well,
so can you be clear, though, in like what rules support that perspective?
Specifically, the
Wait. Who was that guy? Mr. Beardman. Can someone fill me in? I don't watch this shit.
Can you be clear, though, in like what rules support that perspective?
Specifically, the easiest one is misgendering, right? Because that's so clearly ideological. If you ask a conservative...
In a video game won't save you from TOS? Oh, shit. Never mind. Jack Dorsey, Twitter founder? Twitter founder? Wait, the Twitter founder is the one asking the questions? Wait, what? Why would a founder of Twitter be the person hosting questions in a discussion between a Twitter exec? I don't know. That's a producer of Rogan. Joe was hosting. For fuck's sake, people. Okay, yeah, we got Jack Dorsey, Vijaya Gada, and Tim Pool. Okay. Global lead for legal policy, trust, and safety in Twitter. Okay, cool. So she's a woman on the fucking Twitter executive team, and Jack Dorsey, a founder, is presiding over a discussion between Tim Pool and her co-founder, CEO of Twitter. It's a fucking big boy. This guy like a fucking multi-billionaire or something? All right. That's Tim Pool asking questions, the bearded guy's Twitter owner. All right, we've got it. So we have 2 Twitter executives and 1 enlightened centrist who hangs out with neo-Nazis. All right.
What is misgendering? They'll say if someone is biologically male and you call them, she, biologically male and you call them a she, that's misgendering. That's a conservative view. The progressive view is inverted. So now you actually have in your policies a rule against the conservative perspective.
All right, I guess we're debunking here. No. There is no rule in Twitter's TOS that tells you that if you describe a biological male as he, that you are misgendering. I am a biological male, and you can call me he. I'm comfy with that. What the Twitter TOS actually forbids is misgendering, which is when you describe trans women to be biologically male and refer to them as he, or trans men as biologically female and refer to them as she. It is remarkable to me that with all of the media out there that describes in the simplest terms what transness is and what it means, and what the terminology surrounding it means, that people are still, by and large, utterly ignorant. Of course, this guy hangs out with Nazis, so for all we know, he's being deliberately disingenuous. Remember, fascists always lie, da-di-da-di-da. So we don't really know. Whatever the case is, this is false framing by him. That has nothing to do with misgendering.
I have a rule against the abuse and harassment of trans people on our platform. That's what my rules.
Can we just give context in the background as to
why
that is?
that is? And I brought some research. So we obviously received a lot of feedback. So we don't make these rules in a vacuum, just to be clear. We have a bunch of people all around the world who give us context on the types of behavior they're seeing.
Okay, the bearded guy isn't the Twitter executive. He doesn't look anything like the picture. The Twitter exec is like 45 years old. That guy with the beard has a nose ring and is clearly 30 at most. So that must be one of Joe Rogan's production team, and the other Twitter executive hasn't showed up yet.
How that translates into real world harm, and they give us feedback, and they tell
it is Jack. Fine, okay. I thought I was being smart, deductive. Fine, that beard looks good on him. Shut up, all of you. Be quiet. Give me money. Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention, by the way, that donation goal in the bottom right, I want to clarify it really quickly. If I'm going all in on this streaming thing, that means the consistent streams, that means the highest possible audio quality, that means the best possible internet for the highest possible bitrate, that means the biggest, the best games. I'm going to need a proper streaming rig, which I obviously don't have the money for. But be so incapable of reading a YouTube description. Shut the fuck up. Look, the point I'm getting at is I felt a little bit presumptuous putting that donation goal down at the bottom right. Like, haha, I've been streaming for 3 weeks. Give me thousands of dollars. This is a very much a long-term goal. I would be surprised if it ever gets filled, in fact. But I just want to make it evident that I am very much committed to bringing this stream up to the level of quality you would expect from like a top professional streamer. Well, like Destiny, I guess. I'm not going to have a fucking $5,000 webcam, mind you. But beyond that, I want to bring the quality up. So consider this donation goal a communal project. Till then, though, I won't be touching the money in there. That is computer money. No face cam? No, yeah. My webcam's coming in later today, but after this stream, though. I got it in my fucking stream description. This is not my webcam stream.
Tell us, like, you should consider different types of rules, different types of perspectives, different, like, for example, when we try to enforce hateful conduct in our hateful conduct policy in a particular country, we're not going to know all the slur words that are used to target people of a particular race or a particular religion. So we're going to rely on building out a team of experts all around the world who are going to help us enforce our rules. So in the particular case of misgendering, I'm just trying to pull up some of the studies that we looked at. But we looked at the American Association of Pediatrics and looked at the number of transgender youths that were committing suicide. It's an astronomical, I'm sorry, I can't find it right now in front of me. It's a really, really high statistic. That's like 10 times what the normal suicide rate is of normal teenagers. And we looked at the causes of what that was happening. And
normal teenagers. Found another fascist. Boys, get her.
A lot of it was not just violence towards those individuals, but it was bullying behavior. And what were those bullying behaviors that were contributing to that? And that's why we made this rule, because we thought and we believe that those types of behaviors were happening on our platform, and we wanted to stop it. Now, there are exceptions to this rule. We don't, and this isn't about like public figures, and there's always going to be public figures that you're going to want to talk about. And
your voice sounds very similar to Innuendo Studios on YouTube. Are you the same people? For one, I don't think it's that similar, but no, I am nowhere near as intelligent or patient as the fellow who runs the Innuendo Studios page. I adore his work, and I aspire to be as thoughtful and cognizant as him. How many subs do you have? I got like 80 or so. We got a fuck ton of gift subs yesterday. That was amazing. I love it.
And that's fine. But this is about, are you doing something with the intention of abusing and harassing a trans person on the platform? And are they viewing it that way and reporting it to us so that we take action?
So I will just state, I actually agree with the rule. From my point of view, I agree that bullying and harassing trans people is entirely 100% wrong. I disagree with it. But I just want to make sure it's clear to everybody who's listening. My point is simply that, Ben Shapiro went on a talk show and absolutely refused. And that's his shtick, and he's one of the biggest podcasts in the world. So if you have all of his millions upon millions of followers who are looking at this rule saying this goes against my view of the world, and it's literally 60 plus million in this country, you do have a rule that's ideologically bent.
Okay, for one, this is very stupid. This is a very small brain take. all terms of service rules are going to have an ideological bent. When you say don't harass people, you are injecting ideology into your platform. If you say don't misgender people, that's an ideologically driven request or demand, I suppose. Oh, goodness. Thank you very much, Long Socks, for the 100 bits. Thank you for dumping bits on the collective. You fly by in your Cessna P7, dropping little, I guess they're gushers? They're kind of like gushers down upon our commune. So what the fuck am I saying? Oh yeah, everything is ideologically bent. The suggestion that you could create a TOS that has no ideological grounding is ludicrous and very stupid. What the Twitter TOS does prohibit is things like racism, bigotry, discrimination. It just so happens to be that conservatives more often engage in racism, bigotry, discrimination. This isn't some like, haha, gotcha, you lose moment. Like, this is what they represent. And that's what this guy is saying. This guy is saying, like, hey, it's part of conservative ideology to be transphobic, to be racist, to be sexist. These are parts of the conservative ideology, and you're discriminating against conservatives by not permitting us to do these things. And in a sense, he's completely right. You are discriminating against conservatives in that respect, and that's a good thing.
And it's true. You did the research. You believe this. Well, then you have Ben Shapiro, who did his research and doesn't believe it.
Yeah, and I relied on the American Association of Pediatrics and Human Rights Council and other.
And I'm sure he has his sources too for when he gives his statements. The point is,
but I just wonder if
Ben
they
Shapiro
have that
does not have statements.
I mean,
and that's where we have also failed, as well as just explaining the why behind a lot of our policy and reasons.
I would agree, and I think it's fine. You did research and you found this to be true, but we can't simply say maybe Ben Shapiro and the other conservatives who feel this way don't know. We can't, the point I'm trying to make is it's simply whether you believe it, whether you justify it or not is not the point. The point is you do have this rule. That rule is at odds with conservatives, period.
Yeah.
Well, I think that you're generalizing, but I think it is really important, as Jack said, to the why behind these things. The why is to protect people from abuse and harassment on our platform.
I understand, but you essentially created a protected class if this is the case, because despite these studies and what these studies are showing, there's a gigantic suicide rate amongst trans people, period. It's a 40%. It's outrageously large. Now, whether that is because of gender dysphoria, whether that is because of the complications from sexual surgery, sexual transition surgery, whether it's because of bullying, whether it's because of this awful feeling of being born in the wrong gender, all that is yet to be determined. Mm-hmm. The fact that they've shown that there's a large amount of trans people that are committing suicide, I don't necessarily think that makes sense in terms of people from someone's perspective, like a Ben Shapiro, saying that if you are biologically female, if you are born with a double X chromosome, you will never be XY. If he says that, that's a violation of your policy.
Okay, so let's unpack this. The argument that Joe Rogan is making here is that if you state something which is factually correct, that statement should not be able to violate guidelines against hateful conduct. That's essentially the crux of the argument that he's making here. So, here are my problems with this statement. There are a few. So, for one, he opened this by saying you've essentially made a protected class. We already do this in pretty much every terms of service agreement and every social media platform that exists. You can't say the N-word. A whole bunch of sexist slurs you can't throw out. Whole bunch of racial slurs, xenophobic slurs. The reason why these terms are prohibited and cracker isn't. See, I'm on Twitch right now. Notice how I can say that? It's not just because I'm white. It's because these TOS policies exist to prevent harassment and discrimination. And the reason why we wish to prevent harassment and discrimination isn't because these corporations are some goody two-shoe Samaritans that are fundamentally opposed to the idea of human conflict. They have nothing against conflict. Conflict drives engagement. Twitter loves conflict. Twitter would be nothing without conflict. The reason why they're doing this is because they are trying to put a stopper on conflict which has direct and immediate negative consequences on a broader social scale. If I go on Twitter and I start calling white folk crackers, no harm is done. If their feelings are hurt, fine, whatever. It's okay for feelings to be hurt. But am I reinforcing any social prejudices? When I call them a cracker, are they going to be reminded of that time that they applied for a job and they got turned down, but then they saw a black guy with equal qualifications get in? Are they going to be reminded of that time that they got on the school bus and the bus driver looked at him kind of funny and held him back and had them wait until everyone else got in first? Unlikely. You call a black person the N-word? Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm not black. But there's a hell of a lot of studies to suggest that racial discrimination against racial minorities, sexual discrimination against gendered minorities, and so on, have vastly worse consequences in the long run and immediately than just being spiteful and facetious, calling white folk crackers and men sissies and what have you. So, I reject this false equivalence, this suggestion that the harassment guidelines in Twitter constitute the formation of a protected class. Secondly, and this is what I got at first, Joe Rogan suggested that you should not be able to say something which is factually correct and then have it violate the Twitter guidelines. In order for this to be valid, you have to believe that you can make a statement which is factually true and divorce it from all of its normative implications. When Ben Shapiro says, if you were born a male, you will never be female, you will never have XX chromosomes, ignoring the edge cases with intersex people and folks with chromosomal abnormalities, Ben Shapiro is correct. Now, I could go on for hours about how chromosomes don't determine gender, how they're much less important than we think they are, how sex is a bivariate distribution, and it is entirely possible for somebody with XX chromosomes to fall more towards the man scale of things, even without any surgery or transition or testosterone or what have you, simply on account of the circumstances of their birth. But I don't need to get into any of all that, because I can show you another example of how stating facts can nonetheless be bigoted and harassment. Y'all remember back in 2015, 2016, 2017, when Stormfront was a little bit more relevant than it is today? It's less relevant today because you don't need to go to Stormfront to be a white nationalist anymore. You can just go on YouTube. But back before YouTube became a breeding ground for white nationalists, Stormfront would send out its little troopers, and these troopers would come armed with a copy-pasted fact sheet list of all of the ways in which black people are purportedly worse than white people. Black crime statistics and what have you. You remember this in the Reddit threads, don't you? They'd throw this around all the time. It's like 20 or 25 stats. Many of them are cited from FBI crime statistics. Some of them are taken out of context. Many of them are grossly incorrect. But many of these stats are correct. I mean, black people do commit a disproportional amount of crime. But even if we took just the factually correct parts of these stat sheets, and we went on Twitter and we started spamming them in the comments thread every time a prominent black person makes a tweet, I mean, I'm just stating facts, right? But I would get banned anyway. And the reason for that is because when Ben Shapiro says, if you're born with an XY chromosome, you will never have an XX chromosome, Ben Shapiro is not saying that to calmly reaffirm an obvious biological fact that nobody disagrees with. He's throwing in a bunch of normative connotations there, too, that an XX chromosome is what it means to be a woman. And because you were born with that, you will never be a man. And to suggest that somebody will never be the gender which they identify as, to suggest that they're chromosomally blocked from that pathway, that is transphobia, and not rooted in fact. That is a normative statement, that gender is tied to chromosomes. So when Ben Shapiro says that, or when his followers say that, and then they get banned from Twitter, they're not doing so because they're stating a fact. They're doing so because the fact is a dog whistle for bigotry. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
And this is, you're creating a protected class.
To be fair, yes. Targeted.
Yeah,
it is.
If it's targeted at,
or targeting.
Yes, if he wants to express that opinion, he is fully entitled to express that opinion. If he's doing it in a manner that's targeted at an individual, repeatedly, and saying that,
okay, but what about
where the intent and the
you know what's going on
in.
with Martina Navratilova right now? Martina Navratilova. Why can't I say her last name?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think I've ever said it. Martina Navratilova. Is it Talova? Trelova?
That doesn't sound
anyway.
Right.
Epic, world-class, legend tennis player, right, who happens to be a lesbian, is being harassed because she says that she doesn't believe that trans women, meaning someone who is biologically male, who transitions to a female, should be able to compete in sports against biological females. This is something that I agree with. This is something I have personally experienced a tremendous amount of harassment because I stood up when there was a woman who was a trans woman who was fighting biological females in mixed martial arts fights and destroying these women. And I was saying, you just watch this and tell me this doesn't look crazy to you.
Go ahead.
For one, I don't understand why Joe Rogan is bringing this up, because this has literally nothing to do with Twitter or bias against conservatives and in social media guidelines. But here's a really quick addendum on this particular point. The science as to how much... Okay, so I'm going to be describing people, predominantly trans women, who experienced puberty as a male. That is to say they didn't take puberty blockers, and they started taking estrogen after completing their puberty as a male. The terms are a smidge yikesy, but this is what people are referring to. I have seen testimony from sports doctors, from sports medical experts, from people who are specifically trained to assess the physical health of a person in relation to a sport, to suggest that it is absolutely possible for a trans woman to compete on equal footing with a cisgender woman. Hormones are magic, my friends. I have trans friends. I've seen this happen in real life. As their skin got softer, their faces smoothed out, their shoulders narrower, their hips wider, breasts growing. The degree to which hormones can affect your physiology is pretty impressive. With that said, it is reasonable to me that there may be some instances in which transgender women are afforded a significant advantage in certain sports due to an increase in muscle and bone density. This is by no means categorical. This is not all trans women, but it is very reasonable to me that if a trans woman transitioned later in life and has not transitioned, has not been in transition for a very long time, it would be possible that they are lent some strength by their a prior physiology before transition. With that said, that is by no means categorical, and it is very likely to me that after a few years, the vast majority of trans women are going to be physiologically in line with their cisgender counterparts. And I see people in chat angry with me. So let's... Gosh, that's bullshit, though. Uh-oh. Don't the hormones make it even harder to obtain muscle mass? Yeah, I think if you're taking estrogen as a trans woman, you'll find it about as difficult to build muscle, or maybe a little bit more so, than you would if you were a cisgender woman. This is the shit the conservatives feed on? Okay. I understand that conservatives have the capacity to feed on this sort of rhetoric, but we have to recognize certain empirical facts in a manner which do not make us vulnerable to accusations of blindness from the right. Like, let's be realistic here. If a trans woman just started transitioning 6 months ago, she is on average going to have a substantial physical advantage over a cisgender woman, if for no other reason than because she has been lent the physiology of the gender she was assigned at birth. I don't think it's transphobic to acknowledge that. Trans women definitely have twice the estrogen as cis women. Yeah, lent. Wait, is lent a yikesy term to use in that context? Because the term you would want to use in that context is one which suggests that it was given to them, but it's being taken away right now, right? Something that male puberty, the bone density and muscle density, but that goes away. I mean, I know trans women, they're weak as shit. I fucking crush them at arm wrestling. Couldn't it be organized by relevant physical traits in any way and not gender? There's probably a whole lot of science that goes into this. I'm not comfortable talking on the specific, like, ideal implementation of this because it is way more complicated than I am capable of understanding. Because this is medical science, you know? This isn't like just an ideologically driven thing. Seems the issue more originate with the arbitrary separation of gender. Is men were the only one allowed to do things originally? Arbitrary separation. Yeah. Like already we segregate our sports by gender. I'm not saying trans women shouldn't be allowed to compete, but right now we organize our sports by gender, and the reason we do so is because that, generally speaking, men or cisgender men have a pretty substantial physical advantage over cisgender women. Now, that's by no means categorical. There are women who are stronger than men and men who are weaker than women. I'm not one of them, by the way. But, generally speaking, men got it better. Now, with that said, trans women, before they transition, are probably going to be stronger than the average untrained cisgender woman. This is a fact, and I think that we should be cognizant of this fact, because if we grow uncomfortable to hearing obvious truths like this, then it makes us seem like we are unwilling to confront the admittedly difficult and sort of the difficult specifics by which a trans person relates to their environment. Have you ever watched Adam Curtis documentaries? I have not. I'm a short fuckboy. The genetics term will never be able to be better at basketball. Give me the Manlet League, boys. Where's the Manlet League basketball? That's the sport equality I want to see. Someone was making a point last night. Black women on average thicker bone structure and power cis white males, but sports on segregated race and just in gender. Oh shit, I didn't know that. I guess racism is correct in phrenology and stuff. Look, I'm not saying that our system of segregating gender, sport by gender, is in any way valid or correct or what have you. But whatever the solution is, it's probably not going to be ideologically driven. It's probably going to be empirically driven. Because, like, ideologically, I don't like gender, I hate gender, fuck gender, no men, no women, everyone just do their own thing, who cares, embody whatever traits or characteristics that you would like. But I also know that if you take 100 people with titties in this country, I could probably crush 99 of them pretty effortlessly, and I haven't trained in like 5 years. The problem here is this issue is also made worse when transphobes advocate for delayed treatment. Well, it's a good thing I don't advocate for delayed treatment. Look, just because I'm saying this doesn't mean I'm not coming down hard on the transphobes when they say some dumbass shit. Black males versus non-black males, not a big... Okay. I think we understand the point here. The point is that the inclusion of transgender people... Oh. A Karkin. Thank you very much for the host of one viewer. I should probably have it so it's like a bar with like 10 viewers or something. But I still love you. Thanks, Tres Amigos. You know what? Whatever. I revel in it. Bring it the fuck in. Destiny is a really good 10-minute clip on gender and the social category format. No. But I'm not talking even really about gender here. I'm talking about the physiology that comes with your assignment at birth. Because that is what is important for sports. In sports, if you're matching people up, it doesn't fucking matter what your gender is. What matters is your reach, muscle strength, bone density, training level. These characteristics are not inherently gendered, but they definitely correlate to gender in many cases. All right, okay. Also, fuck everyone in here who said yikes. I never made a single yikesy comment in here. Oh, Panda with a Knife. Thank you so much for the subscription, comrade. Welcome to the collective, or welcome to the syndicate. I'll decide. Welcome to the Vosh, what was it? The Vosh Vickers? Vosh Vickers. Yes. All right, get the fuck... Rhetorically, though, it's very easy for conservatives to pull off the trans women are stronger than cis women. I understand that, but it's also easy for conservatives to platform off black people commit more crime than white people, which is also a fact. But you can't just ignore the fact because it's easy for them to run with it. You have to acknowledge the fact. Lent was a 100% yikes thing to say? How? How was Lent a 100% yikes thing to say? Trans women were lent certain physical characteristics by their assignment at birth. What? I think that sounds progressive as fuck. Oh. Turbo Tvit. Thank you very much for your subscription. I really appreciate it, comrade. Welcome to the syndicate. Anyway, just because conservatives can run with that rhetoric doesn't mean we can ignore you. You have to acknowledge it, and you have to say, okay, this is true, but why? And why does it matter? Yes, black people commit more crime. Is it because they're born with the crime gene? Maybe. No, it's not. It's actually because they're born in shitty neighborhoods to like single parents and stuff. You know how it goes. Whatever the fuck. Hold on, I'm cold. I'm getting my slippers. Whatever the fucking case is. Fighting your chat means you've reached a milestone. Good. I want to fight my chat. Real estate, maybe women on T10 are stronger women. Guns hanging out of their... Yeah, because they have guns hanging out of their pockets. It's true. Lent maybe implies some sort of mutual exchange. What, does it? If a friend lends me their fucking car keys so I can go on a ride to get some groceries, I don't think I'm exchanging anything to them other than the nightly loads of cum I blast into the stomach of every one of my friends. If one of the friends who I don't have sex with is listening to this right now, please don't take that weird. Okay, all right. Okay, we've agreed. I'm right on everything. Let's continue. We were doing this. We're only a third of the way in. Yeah, I got my slippers. They're kind of crap slippers, actually. Maybe your donations today will go towards a nice pair of slippers. My mom ordered a pair off Amazon, and they were a little too tight. They were 13, and my feet are a size 14. So I was like, Mom, they're too tight. And she got me these ones, and now they're not too tight. They fit perfectly, but they're still kind of crap. What are you going to do? Hassan and Raj watched most of this yesterday. Yeah, I know, but some folks asked me over DMs, and I'm interested in it. Let me keep up with the cultural fucking paradigm as well.
Well, my point is, you should be able to express yourself. And if you say that you believe someone is biologically male, even though they identify as a female, that's a perspective that should be valid.
There is literally no point of going up to a trans woman and saying, "Hey, just so you know, you have XY chromosomes," unless you're trying to make them feel like shit about being trans. That's the only reason. It's not like there's this great fucking scientific debate going on Twitter right now where people, these big fucking galaxy brain individuals, are going on their fucking notifications and reading about the complex neural network associated with chromosomal relationship to the hormones. No. If people say, "Hey, you're biologically male," the only reason they're doing that is to make you feel shit about being trans. Hello, hyena. I love you. The only reason they're doing that's the only reason. It's just a way of signaling harassment through a technically empirically correct statement. In the exact same way that if a black guy is like, "Hey, white man, I don't like it when you're mean." Sisyphean Zero, thank you so much for the subscription, friend. Welcome to the Syndicate. I guess I'm going with Syndicate? That sounds less cultish than commune. Also, I am an anarcho-syndicalist. You like the collective? Well, we'll work on it. Well, I'll do a vote on my Discord or something. Vosh, yikes. Look, when we get face cam, you can screen cap me doing a weird face, and we'll make it Vosh yikes, okay? And then all of you can post that whenever I say a yikesy take. Whatever the case is, some black guy is like, "Hey, fucking Whitey, shut up, Whitey." And then I spam him with a 2,000-page Google document about every cherry-picked statistic of how black people are worse than white people. Even if everything there is factually correct, I'm harassing him on his race. Everyone understands this except for reactionaries and conservatives because their brains don't understand context, and the ones who do understand context are too dishonest and cuntish to recognize that they're the fucking baddies. They don't. They know it. When Ben Shapiro and the fucking Shap Bros are out there, "You're biologically male," they know what they're doing. They know what they're getting at. They're not that stupid. They're very stupid, but they're not that stupid. They know they're harassing people. All right.
I mean, this is someone's. This is first of all, it's biologically correct. So we have a.
Just because something is correct does not mean it is not harassment. We're talking specifically about the chromosomal thing, and I know that it is not always correct with the chromosome. There are chromosomal abnormalities, but that's not relevant to this discussion.
Problem in that if your standards and your policies are not biologically accurate, then you're dealing with an ideological policy. And
incredibly smooth brain. For one, all policy is ideologically driven. Literally all of it. Ideology-free policy is an oxymoron. For two, they have not taken a stand against an empirical fact. I could go on Twitter and talk about the reality of being trans and invoke chromosomal differences and not be banned. And the reason why I couldn't be banned for it, or that I probably wouldn't be banned for it, is because I would not be doing it in a way which evokes bigotry, hatred, harassment, or direct targeting of trans people. They do. This is very easy. This is so easy.
And just...
Is smooth brain ableist? If smooth brain is ableist, I don't want to be a good boy.
Because, I mean, I don't want to target trans people. I don't want to harass them. I'll call anybody whatever they want. I mean, if you want to change your name to a woman's name and identify as a woman, I'm 100% cool with that.
Cool.
But by saying I don't think that you should be able to compete as a woman, this opens me up for harassment. And I never reported any of it. I just don't pay attention to it.
But in going into like Meghan Murphy, for instance. Right, you can call that target harassment if Meghan Murphy, who is, for those that don't know, she's a radical feminist who refuses to use the transgender pronouns. If she's
refuses to use, so a TERF? This looks pretty turfy. Yeah, TERF. Let's see. Founder of Feminist Current, radical feminist blog and podcast. Best Feminism Award. Her writing critiques trans people, transgender feminism, and the transgender rights movement, the Me Too movement, the sex industry, blah, 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 blah. Okay, cool. So we've got ourselves a standard turf here. Cool. Great. Ideal. Excellent. Perfect. I hate turfs. Remember, kids, there's nothing radical about being trans exclusionary.
He's in an argument with a trans person over whether or not they should be allowed in sports or in biologically female spaces, and she refuses to use their pronoun because of her ideology, you'll ban them.
Again, it depends.
What is this? Like, you could literally make this argument for for fucking any person. So when a grand wizard of the Ku Klux Klan gets on your platform and starts calling people Negroes and says that mudskins need to get off my land, you'll ban him. You'll ban his ideology. You have an ideologically driven platform. Like, okay, dude, you got me. I'm ideologically biased against discrimination. I've been found out. What are you gonna do?
On the context on the platform, and it's also not banned permanently. Like, you get warnings.
Well, she was banned permanently, but let's be clear about what happened.
But she was warned
because you explained it to me. What did she actually do?
My understanding, and I don't have the tweet by tweet the way that I did for the others, but my understanding is that she was warned multiple times for misgendering an individual that she was in an argument with. And this individual is actually bringing a lawsuit against her in Canada as well. So it is.
So you have an argument between two people.
Again.
And you have a rule that enforces only one side of the ideology, and you've banned only one of those people.
Like again, you could have a black guy just sitting there on Twitter, and he's like, this is his tweet, okay? Hello, I am a black man. Haha, dab. Gucci gang, okay? And then fucking Ku Klux Klan wizard comes in, and he's like, hey, let me take a look at your skull. I bet it has those bumps, doesn't it? The idiot bumps? Oh, I bet you got them. The black idiot bumps? Ooh, yes. Like, yeah. Yes, you'll have an interaction in which two people interact and only one of them is banned because one of their ideologies is hateful. I can't. How do you reach this level of enlightened centrism? It's beyond me. How can your brain be so big? It's incredible. Maybe that's the reason why he has this fucking beanie on. It's because his brain has long since swollen past the capacity of his skull, and underneath this beanie, there's just a thin membrane covering his gigantic swollen fucking thinker. Maybe that's why he's got it on, okay? This is not a centrist? Well, when I say centrist, what I actually mean is like a Nazi who's hiding their power level. That's the first video I did on my YouTube channel. Boy. For real, though, it's so... Okay.
We have a rule that attempts to address what we have perceived to be instances of abuse and harassment.
She was saying it's your ideology.
Right, but it is an ideology, right? If she's saying a man is never a woman, if that's what she's saying, and then biologically she's correct, we obviously have a debate here.
Oh.
The terms man and woman have literally nothing to do with biology. I don't know. Like, I could go on Twitter and be like, hey, you're black. You'll never be white. You wish you could be white, didn't you? But nope, you'll never be white. And the black could be like, all right, okay. I don't know. The shit like this is a reminder to me that there is no meritocracy under capitalism. The fact that Joe Rogan could reach the level of fame and wealth that he has, to climb to the heights he has reached with these smooth-brained takes, is just beyond the fucking pale to me.
This is not a clear cut. This is not something like you could say water is wet, this is dry. This is not like something you can prove. This is something where you have to acknowledge that there's an understanding that if someone is a trans person, we all agree to consider them a woman and to think of them as a woman, to talk to them and address them with their preferred name and their preferred pronouns. But biologically, this is not accurate. So we have a divide here. We have a divide between
what Joe Rogan is doing here is... Oh, got an emergency vehicle. What Joe Rogan is doing here is he's framing this discussion as though there are two equal and incompatible means by which one can recognize a person's gender, by how they identify or by their chromosomes. And, in a sense, he's right. These are two perspectives that you can take on it. After all, and we should be mindful of this, by the way, it's not like gender is a thing. Gender could be determined by chromosomes every much as we've decided it's determined by your identity. Now, that would fly in the face of the way in which we've been treating gender conceptually for the past couple decades, and that's cool, I suppose. But we should recognize the inherent ambiguity, the inherent arbitrariety of this concept. In a sense, Joe Rogan is correct here. There are two ways of looking at this, or more than two ways, but in this argument there are two. You can look at how a person's gender is assigned biologically, and you can look at it through one's personal identification. The problem with this is that you can do exactly the same thing with other discriminated groups of people. This is not a situation unique to transness. Because how do you recognize black people? Conceptually, how do you place them sort of hierarchically in the racial tiers? If you tend to think that way, which I don't. Because I think people are equal regardless of their race. That's the libcuck answer. That's my answer. But there's another way of looking at it. Maybe the fact that black people commit a disproportionate amount of crime in this country suggests to you that black people are inherently genetically inferior. That's not a huge leap to take. Lower IQ score on average, higher crime rate on average. Now, I can provide sociological explanations for these causes, but if you don't buy into those sociological explanations, then really you just have two separate ways of looking at things. The difference, the critical difference here, is that my way of looking at things makes the world better, and their way of looking at things promotes misery and hierarchy and in some cases genocide. That's the reason why. It's not because there's some divine truth to gender as a form of self-expression. It's not because there's some divine truth to the inherent equality of people of different races. It's because one way of looking at things improves the world and one makes it worse. And they, Joe Rogan, Ben Shapiro, that fucking turf lady, they make it worse. We should be cognizant of the arbitrariety of these concepts so we're a little more prepared to defend ourselves whenever dipshit arguments like this come up. Because as smooth-brained and simplistic as they are, and they very, very much are, they can also be difficult to tackle if you get caught up in the pre-existing biases of the person who's speaking these fallacious claims. As Zizek would say, the trash can of ideology. He would say it with more sniffles. Let's watch.
The conservative estimation of what's happening, and then the definition that's the liberal definition of it.
I think that's right, Joe. And I think what I'm trying to say is that
Good, she
it's
agrees.
Not that you can't have those viewpoints. It's that if you're taking those viewpoints and you're targeting them at a specific person in a way that reflects your intent to abuse and harass them.
But what if it's in the context of the conversation? What if she's saying that I don't think that trans women should be allowed in these female spaces?
Oh dear, Hassan spent hours on this last night too. Well, we're only on the 20-minute video segment, so don't you worry. As to what Joe Rogan just said about trans women entering female spaces, like I suppose female bathrooms or what have you, or whatever. Again, you can do the same fucking thing with race. That's all I really need to do to illustrate this, by the way. All I really need to do is point out that whatever examples of supposed... Thank you very much, Hyena. My love, my dear, absent love. Whatever the case is, all of the arguments that he's making here about how Twitter is enacting some bias by preventing some group from expressing their opinions when their opinions are bigoted, all of this can apply equally to race. There's nothing unique about transness here. it's just a sort of an easy issue to dunk on because trans people don't have the same social weight behind their advocacy that, say, racial minorities do. If you talk shit about a black person, most people will jump to the defense of the black person. If you're like overtly racist, I mean, most people, now don't get me wrong, a lot of racist folk here, but most people gonna jump to that. That said, trans people, not so much. Trans people do not have many allies, more than they did 2 decades ago, but not many allies. They have to be very selective about the people that they trust because it is very easy to be let down. Do you think Tim Pool is someone who should be deplatformed? Only seen some of his stuff recently. Can't tell if he's a bad faith actor or dumb as fuck. Yeah, I mean, I don't have the bad faith actor requirement that Destiny set. I just think you should deplatform conservatives. I don't give a fuck. I mean, I literally advocate for a violent revolution. Absolutely. Deplatform him. Open up the fucking trapdoor. Don't you fucking yikes me. You liked my point? I like your big boobies. Hyena. All right. Let's do this.
To make decisions for women. And then this person's arguing and she says, a woman is biologically female. Well, you are never going to be a woman.
She responded with, men aren't women, though. And that was her first... In the series of events, that's what
got
the warning.
Men aren't women. That is definitely just a biological statement and not at all an ideologically driven statement, even though nothing about man or woman intrinsically implies biology and has everything to do with ideology. They're literally making this argument that their statements aren't ideologically driven because they're biologically true, and then they're like, yeah, what'd she say? Oh, she said men aren't women? Oh...
That was one of many tweets that was part of providing context, and that was actually the second actually strike is my understanding. But
why is that a strike?
Yeah, why is that a strike?
But again, like it's the context of I don't have all the tweets in front of me. There were like 10 or 12 tweets going back and forth, and my understanding is that in the context of all of those, she was misgendering a particular person, not that she was holding a belief or statement.
It was a public figure, though, wasn't it?
I don't know.
It was. So you're having an individual who is debating a high-profile individual in her community, and she's expressing her ideology versus hers, and you have opted to ban one of those ideologies.
And it's within the context of this conversation. Yeah. This is what is being debated, whether or not someone is in fact a woman when they were born a male.
Yeah, I think the woman here is actually doing a pretty good job holding herself. Very professional candor. It makes sense that she's an executive with this kind of behavior. He's bald under there, not to body shame. Look, we can body shame chuds all we want. Actually, maybe not. I don't know. I don't really like the neckbeard insult. That thing kind of fell to the wayside. Whatever the case is, here's a question for us to discuss in chat, okay? Here's our question, all right? Look, these people are dipshits. Great, cool. Howdy do. You know, I know, gender is a form of expression. It is a form of identity. It is a mode of performance. Whatever specific way you ascribe gender to relate to a person's identity, we know it's a component of identity. It's something people have choice over. Not everyone agrees with that. A lot of people think it's biologically driven. And let's be fair here. They have a lot of reason to think that. Generally speaking, in society, men and women look and act and dress and talk and behave and perform very differently. It makes sense that to your average person who is politically ignorant, that these two things, men and women, are discrete, distinctive, sex-based categories over which an individual has no control. Now, yeah, don't body shame as a balding woman. It's not fun. Well, no, it's just about making fun of chuds. But whatever. Yeah. So, on Twitter, how do you think people who aren't quite woke on the performative or identitarian nature of gender, how do you think these people should discuss their concerns, their doubts, their curiosities concerning the ability of transgender people to identify as the gender of their choice? This is my question for you, chat, okay? Because this is a difficult one. Now, you can't have them go around saying, men can't be women, XX chromosome means woman, you got a dick, can't be a woman. Because that's harassment. But that's also what these people believe. It's possible to believe these things in a non-hateful context. I imagine if you're politically unaffiliated, if you just have a very basic, low-level understanding of gender, then to you might view trans people as just like kind of confused. Maybe they need like help because gender is like just a product of sex and chromosomes and stuff. So here's my question for you guys. How do these people get to talk about this subject? Is it possible to discuss these things and discuss their curiosities in a way that isn't implicitly harmful to the trans community? Should they just be banned outright? Do you think banning discussion of this outright will actually foster more discrimination because it makes people feel as though they're being prevented from even talking about a protected class? I don't know. Just something to think about. You can respectfully ask questions. Yeah, but it's also possible to fucking, what is it called? What is it called? When you're asking questions, but you're being disingenuous and you're just, fuck, what's that term? Jacking off is a good one, but I was thinking, concern trolling. Yeah. Concern trolling is what I was thinking, but jacking off also works. Like you can, like maybe you just have questions and you message a trans woman. You're like, so does it bother you that you're a woman? You have a penis? Doesn't that feel like you're a man? Like you can, like that question could hypothetically be posed by an innocent person, but in reality, 99 times out of 100, it's a way of harassing someone. So. Yeah, sea lioning. Sea lioning is a real term, and it is a wonderful term. Let's keep going. Fuck.
I understand that this is controversial. I do.
Especially to a radical feminist.
I understand why people would not agree with the rule. But that being said, it is a rule on our platform. And once you're warned about the rule, to repeatedly post the same content is also going to be a violation of our rules.
Right, but the rule, this seems like a good example of an ideologically based rule. If you're
all rules are ideologically based. Even something as tepid as do not post child pornography on our platform is rooted in ideological assertions. Well, what's wrong with child porn? I don't know. Do we have an ideological fucking assertion to make on that subject? Probably. I figure most people do. What?
If she's saying that a man is never a woman, though, that is not in that context harassment. That is a very specific opinion that she has that happens to be biologically accurate. Now, I don't.
That has nothing to do with biology.
I don't agree with targeting harassment on anybody, and I targeted harassment on trans people or straight people or whatever. I don't agree with it.
You do agree with harassment if you think it's okay for TERFs to message people like, men will never be women, men aren't women, you can never be a woman. If you believe this is fine, you are in favor of harassment against transgender people. Being targeted with shit like that makes trans people feel really fucking bad, almost as though they are being harassed.
I don't think you should do it. It's not something I want to do. But in this context, what she's saying is not just her expression, but it's accurate.
I think an important point is if I tweeted to you, Joe, you are not a hamster. That's...
Oh, we got there! It was only a fucking matter of time. It was only a matter of time. It's almost as though... It's almost as though... Praise be! Thank you, God, for delivering unto me, your humble fucking dejected antagonist, some more dumbass shit. Thank you for giving me the attack helicopter argument. So... man and woman are gender-based, socially constructed terms that are rooted exclusively in the ideological trappings surrounding the creation of those terms. What a man and woman means has varied from culture to culture, from time period to time period. What a hamster is a hamster. It is, among other things, mutually exclusive with being a human for now. The categories human and hamster are technically ideologically constructed. I mean, an alien might come to this planet and just group everything into flora and fauna, and then there we go. Like that's us and the hamsters. But I can make a very strong argument as to why a human can't be a hamster. But I guarantee you these brainlet chuds could not make a comparably strong argument as to why some... Well, for one, again, man and woman are socially constructed. There's no empirical rooting, whereas there absolutely is an empirical rooting in what is a human and what is a hamster. Also, being a hamster and being a human are not modes of identity. They are, in fact, a product of your biology in a way that man and woman are not. And what's more than that, even if you concede the biology argument, we must recognize that in almost every sense, it is possible to take someone who is biologically male and make them biologically female. You want the titties? Done. You want the goop hole? Done. You want the big hips and the fat ass? Done. You want the fucking narrow shoulders? Done. You want the long hair? Just grow out the fucking hair, dummy. You can do that no matter your gender. You can get all that shit. You can take hormones that will fundamentally restructure your body. Your organs and your brain will restructure themselves. Your fucking brain, your spinal column, excuse me, will change in shape and in size very minorly. This is a very minor effect. It's your fucking spinal column, okay? Your chromosomes will not change, but everything else will. And the chromosomes are not the only... the chromosomes aren't even what makes you a certain sex. That's not what turns you into a certain sex. Read up on the fucking medical science written by doctors. I'm not a fucking doctor. What constitutes sex is very blurry. Again, it's a binomial distribution. What if a person has XY chromosomes but is born with a vagina? This happens. What if you have intersex people? What if you have XXY people? What if you have XXX people? What if you have people who are born XX but have fucking big ass fucking shoulders and look like a fucking dude and they get like facial hair? There's so much variance to this. And a day may come, my friends, a day may come when humans can be surgically turned into hamsters. And when that day comes, we can reassess this particular argument. And you know what I will say then? Do you know what argument I will hoist to this man, Tim Pool, then? I will say, yeah, don't say that. Don't tell hamster persons that humans can't be hamsters. That's a little hamster phobic. In 1,000 years, I will be up there. I will be the first one to defend the hamster people, okay? 100%. But right now, in 2019, we don't have hamster people. What we have is a fuckload of trans people and a fuckload of people who hate trans people. That's the issue we're dealing with now. So, look, trans people today, hamster people tomorrow, okay?
Clearly not a violation of the rules. However, if
I identify as a hamster.
Well, no, it wouldn't be clear because I know people who have specifically begun using insults of animals to avoid getting kicked off the platform for breaking the rules. Certain individuals who have been suspended now use certain small woodland creatures in place of slurs, so they're not really insulting you, and it's fine. But there are people who consider themselves trans species. Now, I'm not trying to belittle the trans community by no means.
By no means, I'm just asking why it's not okay to harass them on social media and tell them they'll never be the gender they identify as, even though this is literally the behavior that contributes to their astronomical suicide rates. Transspeciesism, transspecies people are irrelevant politically. I don't know why they get invoked in this. There are like a few of them, and most of them, you know what? I'm going to be real, okay? Get ready to yikes me. Most trans species people are just fucking cringy furries, okay? They're just cringy-ass fucking furries, fucking wolf spirit bitches who really like how somebody drew them, and they're running with it, okay? And you know what? You know what? Most of them have autism. I have autism, I can say it. I can also say the R slur 3 times a day, but not on Twitch, because that's TOS, okay? Yeah, fucking yikes me. I eat it. I slurp up the yikes.
I'm just trying to point out that you have a specific rule for one set of people, and so there are people who have general body dysphoria. You don't have rules on that. There are people who have actually amputated their own arms. You don't have rules on that.
What?
You have a very specific rule set. And more importantly, in the context of a targeted conversation, I can say a whole bunch of things that would never be considered a rule break, but that one is.
Why do you defend trans people? Some people have cut off their arms. What?
Yeah. Thank you for the feedback. I mean, we're again always learning and trying to understand different people's perspectives. And all I'll say is that our intent is not to police ideology. Our intent is to police behaviors that we view as abusive and harassment. And I hear your point of view.
This woman is the lawyer. It's one of Twitter's executives who seems to head the harassment, like legal team, help policy kind of side of the company. He probably meant body dysmorphia, I assume. Okay, forgive my ignorance. Body dysmorphia is like, isn't that a component of like being anorexic or whatever? You look at your body and it doesn't necessarily reflect what your body empirically is. And some folks want to be real big and beefy. I don't know. Also, is it just me or is this lady got really big eyes? She's got like fucking Disney eyes. Anime shit. Look at this. Is this just me? Is this just skillful application of makeup? I feel like her eyes look really big. I trust her because of her big eyes. Yeah, she does have nice eyes. Yes, she's hot. I mean, yes, she's also hot, but that's not... I wasn't saying she was hot. I was saying she has nice big eyes. That's what I was getting at. Jelly? No, I have pretty awesome eyes, actually. Body dysmorphia is an OCD subcategory. You smooth brains? Really? I didn't know that. Maybe we'll look into that sometime. Show me your eyes. I'm getting a webcam later today. Calm your fucking pants.
And it's something that I'll definitely discuss with my team.
And even in this case, it wasn't just going against this particular rule,
this
but
guy looks
also
pretty good
things
for someone who's
that were
pushing
more
50.
and evasive as well, including taking a screenshot of the original tweet, reposting it, which is against our terms of service.
Well, that sounds like
so it's more the actions.
It sounded like a protest against your rule.
But
I understand you could ban them for it.
But people can protest any of our rules. We can't like let them do that.
No.
They can protest
agree.
any of them.
I'm not
they disagree.
I understand what you're saying, but I just want to make sure I point out she was clearly doing it as an effort to push back on what she viewed as an ideologically driven rule.
Well, the problem is this is a real debate in the LGBT community. This is a debate where there's a division, and there's a division between people that think that trans women are invading biological female spaces and making decisions that don't benefit these biological females.
How, in what world is affording rights and recognition to transgender women hurting cisgender women? Where? Find me. Find me a space. Find me anywhere. Give me just one rape. One time a trans woman has gone into a woman's bathroom and raped someone. Has it ever happened? Ever? Has it ever happened? I don't think it has. Maybe some one-off instance of assault, but I'm pretty sure that by and large the rates of violence committed by trans people are vastly lower than the cisgender population. Man, woman, doesn't fucking matter. It turns out when you're transgender and you're one bad social interaction from getting fucking the shit kicked out of you or killed, it turns out that when you're in that position, you're not actually just raring to fucking fight 100% of the time. It turns out you actually kind of want to keep people's eyes off you. Amazing. Incredible. Wow. Amazing. Wow.
cisgender, whatever you want to call them. This is an actual debate, and it's a debate amongst progressive people, amongst left-wing people. I mean, it's a debate amongst liberals. This is, I mean, I would imagine the vast majority of people in the LBGT community are, in fact, on the left. And this is one example of that. So you have a protected class that's having an argument with a woman who feels like there's an ideological bent to this conversation that is not only not accurate, but not fair. And she feels like it's not fair for biological women. The same as Martina.
Well, I'll
biological women, cisgender women, XX chromosome women are being oppressed by not being able to tell trans people the completely biologically and not at all normatively driven statement that XY chromosomes means you'll never be a woman. Oh, the humanity. I'm getting bored. Is this argument going to progress in any way, or are they just going to keep discussing the same point that's wrong? I really wish... Look, the fucking lady is doing a good job here. We should remember, though, she's still an executive of a huge company, and for that reason, she gets fucking... put in a Minecraft slime block trap until she suffocates in the video game. But, with that said, wouldn't it be nice if rather than this milquetoast corporate anti-discrimination policy, she was a real advocate? See, because this is the limit of what you can get from your corporate masters. This is the limit of profitability. If she took another step forward, if she started saying, yeah, we're ideologically driven against bigotry. Yes, If she actually took that direction, probably wouldn't do great for Twitter in the long run. People would make all sorts of comments about the SJW executives at Twitter. But wouldn't that be fucking great? Isn't it just incredible? Isn't it just fucking amazing how the profit motive of this company restricts their ability to protect minorities on their platform?
take this to its logical conclusion. I got sent a screenshot from somebody, and maybe it's faked. I think it was real. They were having an argument with someone on Twitter and responded with, dude, comma, you don't know, blah, blah, blah. And they got a suspension and a lockout, had to delete the tweet because the individual, using a cartoon avatar with their name apparently was Sam, reported it and said that I'm transgender and he's calling me dude, and the Twitter user actually got a suspension for it. So I can understand mistakes happen, but when you have a rule that's like that, there's colloquial terms that are like man.
This is irrelevant. This is the most anecdote I've ever seen in my entire life. Jesus Christ. Someone sent me a screenshot. I don't know if it's real. It looked like in some convo, some guy said that they just said hi, and the other person was, hey dude, and the other person was like, I'm a trans woman, and they got suspended. This is the most anecdotal anecdote. Jesus Christ. He might as well have leaned into the mic and said, hey, I just imagined a scenario in which someone was banned for saying hello to a trans person and not saying dignified trans empress as sort of a suffix, as an addendum to their statement, and they were banned for that. I just imagined that. Would you care to comment? Like, it's nothing. Isn't this guy supposed to be a journalist?
Come on, don't say that.
Dude is like we say, like I asked you guys when you were going to take a photo in front of this thing. I said, guys, but I included you.
I wasn't offended.
Thank you for
and
not
I
being
wouldn't
offended.
have reported you for it.
Amazing.
Thank you. Yeah,
amazing.
It's tricky, but in this case of Megan Murphy, that's her name, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me. That seems like she should be allowed to express herself. And this is not being, she's not being mean by saying a man is never a woman. This is a perspective that is scientifically accurate. That's the problem.
Shit. I really shouldn't. I'm sorry. Fuck. I really... Should I, go outside and knock on my neighbor's door and apologize? I feel bad. Okay. We're gonna calm it down, okay? We're gonna take it. We're going to take it a few notches down. That would annoy me more than the yelling. Yeah, I just don't want them to think that I'm dying or like fucking raping someone. 100 more if you scream again. No, please. No, thank you for the bits. I can't do it. I feel really bad. Okay, we're calming it down.
I just don't want to run into beating a dead horse. So I think I want to move on to
it's a really important thing to go over all the nuances of this particular subject, because I think that one in particular highlights this idea of where the problems lie in having a protected class. And
but Joe,
I think we should be compassionate.
We have a lot of protected classes: gender, race, nationality. Like these are the protected
classes. But it's not for white people. When you say gender.
Oh, by the way, while I've got 135 people watching, I think I got text-to-speech working on my donations. Down in the Streamlabs donate thing, if you scroll down below my feed, and there's the little donate thing with the PayPal icon. I'm just saying. I think I got text-to-speech working, and I made the font bigger. I'm just saying. Just to test, Kappa.
Or race.
It protects all protected categories. So you can't attack someone for their belonging to a particular race or a particular religion.
But you can mock white people ad nauseum. It's not.
Jesus Christ. Oh, God. Oh, my fucking God. Yes. Because bigotry exists in a context. Bigotry isn't just prejudice. That's you can punch up, you can't punch down. It's why it's okay for me to make jokes about rich people, but making jokes about poor people is kind of classless. The reason why is because the jokes you have are statements, issues spoken to power. When you issue a statement like this, when you make a joke about white people, what you are doing is you are speaking truth to power. Not always. Sometimes jokes are fucking bad or they're not trying to speak truth to anything, but you are not reinforcing social degradation of this group of people. Black folk, yes you are. Hispanic folk, Muslims, immigrants, refugees, yes. Trans people, yes. White people, a no. Not actually the case with white people, incredibly. That don't happen there. No one's getting hurt because they're called a cracker. No one's getting hurt because they're saying fuck whiteys. No one's getting hurt because you say white genocide now. These things don't happen. People are not hurt by this behavior. This does not reinforce any negative social stigmas. No. It can hurt your feelings. Then toughen the fuck up, snowflake. My friend. My silly, soft, delicate baby friend. So easily offended. Calm down. It's gonna be okay. Can you not use Muslims to mean Arabs? No, I meant Muslims, not Arabs. There are non-Arabic Muslims. Isn't Pakistan non-Arabic? And they're like the majority of the Muslims in the world?
Not a problem. It doesn't get removed.
I'm not talking about mocking. I'm talking about abusing and harassing somebody.
But I mean, if you mock a black person in the same way, it would be considered targeted racism.
Again, it's about targeted harassment on the platform.
Well, I mean,
what is targeted harassment? I mean, but when you're like if you have, what is racism? Is racism only? I mean, there's this progressive perspective of racism that it's only possible if you're from a more powerful class. It's only punching down. That's the only racism. I don't think that makes any sense. I think racism is looking at someone that is from whatever race and deciding that they are in fact less worthy or less valuable, whatever it is. And that takes place across the platform against white people. Now, I'm not saying white people need to be protected. I know it's easier being a white person in America.
You are. You're literally saying that. If you're saying you can say black people are bad, but you can't say white people are bad. You say that's just punching up against white people. I don't think that's right. By the way, I'm not equating what white people experience, what black people experience. I know we have it harder, but you are, though. That's literally what you're doing.
It's a fact. But it's hypocritical to have a policy that only distinguishes you can make fun of white people all day long, but if you decide to make fun of Asian folks or, fill in the blank, that is racist. But making fun of white people isn't, and it doesn't get...
hey, I'm not equivocating. I'm not saying you have to protect white people or anything. But why can you say cracker but you can't say the N-word? Tell me the fuck why, you fucking Twitter SJW cucklords.